right, we'll be recording this, and I'll be sharing it with everybody who registered for the webinar. We understand how things come up during the day, especially in law enforcement, that we have no control over. So here's what we're going to do. We're about to get started. I'm going to introduce Beth Celestini. She'll probably talk a little bit about herself, but of course, I want to talk a little bit about advanced police concepts too, right? You know, that's who sponsors this event. That's the company I founded in 2016. And hopefully you probably got an email from us because you guys probably took one of our classes at some point, right? So now you're on our email list, or one of your friends is on our email list, coworkers, stuff, bosses, stuff like that. So we've been all over the country, and we're looking forward. After this year, we'll probably have been in 30 states. But you can see we teach a lot of different things, mostly investigative. We do some field training officer stuff, and we do some leadership stuff. But a lot of our stuff is focused on investigations, including human trafficking, overdose, child abuse investigations, sexual assault. You name it, on that investigative front, we probably have somebody who does that stuff. So I'm going to throw the email address in the website or in the chat room. You guys just, you know, take a snapshot here, go. I guess you lost me for a second there.
I did.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, everybody did, not just you, Beth.
okay.
My to go beat on the head with a broom. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
Then we'll let you share, and we should be all right. Since you're a co-host, even if I have an issue on my side, you'll still be okay.
Okay.
All right, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, we do share stuff on Facebook too. We call it APC Collaboration. It's a closed Facebook group. If you want to join, we'd love to have you. We have about 1,100, 1,200 members now. We share information. A lot of it, we just kind of keep it to cops and law enforcement professionals, whether you work, if you're a civilian analyst or forensic crime or something like that. We want it to keep it towards our law enforcement community. I do an online leadership class starting July 15th. It's $99. It's easy. It's at the website, and you have 2 weeks to complete. So if it's something that you need to kind of finish off your CV to make sergeant or something like that, or you just think it's something you really like to have, it's pretty easy. I think you learn a lot from it, of course, because I teach it. So hopefully I can bring some value to you. Lastly, we are looking for active sites to host classes in 2024. If you host a class, your agency gets free seats. It's that simple, right? You don't do anything. We do almost all the work. You guys just help us out, maybe advertising and reaching out to your local counterparts. All right, so we're going to get started. Beth, I met Beth a couple years ago. We were kind of doing some collaboration work with a company that was doing some forensic genetic genealogy. That's how I first met her. Beth is retired from the Secret Service. She's done work with NetMec, and now she's doing some work with Black and Missing Foundation. So even though she works for Black and Missing, this is not just about missing people of color, even though we understand there's a big struggle there, a lot of overrepresentation of people who are almost discounted, right? And we see that in the indigenous population as well, right, Beth? I'll let you talk about that, but these things Beth is talking about will transcend any race. We're talking about how to help and people who are missing and what to look for. I'm going to stop sharing, Beth, and let you take over.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. And thanks for everybody for joining us today. Just a little shout back out to Mike. I've taken a couple classes and they're phenomenal. So if you haven't taken any classes with Mike yet or any of his instructors, I encourage you guys to sign up. It's always great to get more training, and Mike is enthusiastic about the training, and it's good information, and we can't get enough training, right? So anyway, yeah, of course. And I'm thrilled to be here today. As Mike said, we're going to be talking about missing people and how we look at those cases. And in a few minutes, I'm going to share my screen, but what we're going to do like I said, is go over some missing persons cases, and we're going to dive kind of deep into them. We're going to look at the use of the word runaway. I don't know how many of you guys still use that word. We're going to look at the time frame. Do you guys still have a time frame in which someone can report somebody missing? Do they have to be missing for 24 hours? You know, things like that. And we're going to wrap it up after that, and we're going to look at any kind of questions or anything you can put in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything, and I'm here at the end as well. And you've got my information. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and get started. Give me a second. And here we go. So as Mike said, I do work with the Black and Missing Foundation. We have been around for 16 years. It's a nonprofit. We're based out of Maryland, but we go everywhere. We have people all over the world that help us. And obviously we collaborate with law enforcement. We collaborate with the media and the families in missing persons cases. Some stats, you guys, you always have to throw stats out there. So you guys probably know there's more than 600,000 people that go missing annually, and 4,400 unidentified bodies are found every year. And on the average, about 6.5 missing persons for every 100,000 people that go missing. Anybody have any idea what state has the most missing people? Put it in the chat if you do. California. Alaska has the most percentage-wise, but California has the most people altogether. So when you get your missing persons case, and everybody does this differently, you get the cases reported, it's taken in, you guys do your initial search, and depending on how your department looks at it, the patrol officer may search for a period of time, get information, and then depending on what information is obtained, it gets assigned to a detective. Some departments have detectives that are assigned only to missing persons. Typically, it's the bigger departments. Others have departments or units that are maybe homicide, missing persons, robbery, violent crime, things like that. Every department is different. And of course, it depends on assets and money, right? And everybody knows we could use more police officers and more money. There's never a time where we couldn't use more of that. So we do the best we can with what we have, right? So then you go down to your checklists. I'm hoping everybody has checklists to make sure they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And again, those are different. One of the things that we like to do is help folks make a checklist to make sure nothing gets dropped and that everyone is doing the same checklist and learning from each other to make sure that things don't get lost and then we come upon someone who's never found or it turns into a homicide. The last thing you guys usually do, of course, is ask for assistance. And that could be within your department. It could be with the FBI. It could be with your state and other locals. It could be with Black and Missing. So there's kind of a rhythm, if you will, to missing persons. Some departments are great at it because they have a lot of missing people, right? And some are not so great at it. And sometimes you just don't know what to do. You really don't. So you need to reach out to some of those resources. And there are a ton of them out there. Hopefully you guys are working with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, wonderful organization that's been around since 1984, I believe, 82 or 84. It's the only centralized area for missing and exploited children. They do great work legislatively. Obviously, they have caseworkers that help you guys find these missing children, and they don't ever close a case until the child is found. And they will take cases for children up to age 21. Hopefully, you know that's a resource for you guys. Obviously, it's free. NamUs, hopefully you guys know about NamUs. They have gone through a rebooting, if you will. It's open to the public, so families can go on there and check their cases. They can put information in there. Law enforcement obviously can upload to NamUs. They will call, they being your regional representative, will call and help you put that person in NamUs. There's lots of information in there, and that is another great resource. They also can test for DNA if other unidentified people come through there, or pictures. It's just a wonderful organization. If you don't know about it, I encourage you to go on there. Obviously, we have NCIC. We all know about that. Next generation identification with the Bureau. This is something new, and I work with a lady named Julia Lucas at Next Generation Identification. And what they're doing is they're getting fingerprints. And I know this sounds pretty simple, but the Bureau used to get rid of all their fingerprints. So now they've decided to change direction and keep fingerprints. And you'd be amazed where fingerprints end up, right? And it's another way of identifying people, missing or otherwise. And she will take cases, she will call anywhere she needs to get information to find out if fingerprints are on file. It's another place to check for fingerprints. And we've actually found several people. So, and we just started this year with them. So that's huge. The other one, National Child Protection Task Force. It's run by Kevin Brinzanti, and he is a former New York police officer. And he got together with some other former police officers to find children and do those missing cases, although he will do adults as well. He has spoken at conventions all over the United States, and what they mainly do is technical backgrounds, all the computer searches, and not the free ones. It is free to you guys, but he is signed up for all these kinds of background checks, and it's incredible what he's been able to find, and he is dogged. So these are some of the things that we use at the Black and Missing Foundation. These are some of our partners, obviously. If you guys have other sources, and I know you do, put them in the chat. Somebody may never have heard of a source that you're using that's really helpful. I will remind you, as this says at the bottom, that obviously this is all free and there are more out there. For example, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a Team Adam consultant, which I am. So if you guys are stuck and you have somebody missing, a child missing in this case, there are Team Adam consultants everywhere. And if you ask, we will come and we will give you all of our resources for free. And that can free you all that are still that still have the badge and all the power, which us retired folks don't have anymore, can go do that. And we can man the phones, we can do the computer stuff. We're a great resource for that. And of course you have the CART teams, the Child Abduction Recovery Team. Same instance, you just have to pick up the phone and call and we come. And true transparency here. I'm married to an retired FBI agent, so I know how they can come in and take over the case. We're not like that. We don't operate that way. It is 100% together. And all of this is free. So just to let you know there. So what is BAMFI, the Black and Missing Foundation? Nonprofit, and we're trying to bring awareness to Black and Brown people that go missing, give them the same tools, the same assets, the same media coverage that everybody else gets. And like I said, it was developed 16 years ago off a case in South Carolina by Derica and Natalie Wilson, who happen to be sister-in-laws. And Derica comes to Black and Missing Foundation with a law enforcement background, and Natalie Wilson comes with her media relations. So the two of them together are a perfect fit. And in South Carolina, Tamika went missing, young woman went missing, and honestly, nobody was looking for her. It wasn't taken as seriously as some of the other cases. It wasn't on TV. Her family did report her missing. Not a whole lot was done. And unfortunately, she was found murdered. Her boyfriend had murdered her, put her in his apartment closet, and it just was shocking. So Black and Missing Foundation thought, you know what, we can do this better. We can help police. We can get the media some additional information and get the stories out there. And this is one of the reasons that we're needed, because so many people go missing. And not sure if you guys are aware of this, but percentage-wise of the 240,000 people that go missing every year, 40% of them are Black and Brown, and yet they're only 13% of the community that go missing or in the United States as a whole. So that's a shocking number. And there's information about this out there. There's articles about that. It's just we could do better. We could do better. We could do better with more assets, more people helping out. We encourage you to reach out again to all these organizations that can help. talk about some of the articles out there of people missing. It is in the news. We feel we have a crisis also in the indigenous community, as we were talking about initially when we started. So people know about this. Is an interesting case, the Relisha Rudd case. Anybody familiar with that from Washington, D.C.? And I put this in here because you can see the back of this little girl's head, and then you see the picture of Relisha. And when this little girl saw that flyer of Relisha, she said to her mom, "She looks just like me. This could be me. This could be me missing." So that kind of pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. Well, so we're going to talk about runaway and missing. I'm not sure if you guys still use the term runaway. We would like to get away from the term runaway. And I know you guys are thinking, yeah, great. This kid's run away for the 8th time this month, right? I get it. Habitual leaver, anything else but runaway. And the reason is because runaway, when it's targeted like that and titled like that, typically don't get the same resources. And we're going to talk about the 24-hour waiting period. There is no waiting period. If your agency has a waiting period, they should not. Time is of the essence here. And no one should be using the waiting period. Not even like, hey, we're closed this weekend, come back Monday. Got to take that report. We'll also touch on the Amber Alert. I don't know how often you guys use the Amber Alert. Typically, for the Black and Brown community, the Amber Alerts are not used very much. And one of the reasons is because they're labeled as runaways. And if they are, they won't meet the criteria for the Amber Alert. So just a thought about how we're labeling things. So this case talks about all three: being labeled as a runaway, the 24-hour waiting period, and then the Amber Alert. In short, Destiny got into a car from school at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, March 28th last year. And they saw it on the camera on the TV. But because she got into the car voluntarily, she was labeled a runaway. It was something that she did on her own. She wasn't forced into the car. She got into the car. Luckily, the police tracked that person down, that man that had picked her up. I think he was about 40 some years old. I believe she met him on the internet. And he said, "Oh, I gave her to a friend." Not much happened after that. So the police called the U.S. Marshals, who decided to come in. And within 6 days, she was found. She'd been trafficked up in New York City. But you can see, perhaps had she been labeled not a runaway, and I get it, she got into the car voluntarily, but there could have been a little bit more, why was she getting into the car? Those types of things, looking at her social media, looking at her phone, things like that. And incidentally, because I've heard lots of people say, well, if there hasn't been a crime, I can't get a subpoena. I can't do this. There's only so many things you can do if there hasn't been a crime, or the child isn't in danger. At 16 in Virginia, she's a juvenile. So, in our book, 16 or a juvenile, you're missing, you're endangered at some point, whether she knows it or he knows it or not, right? So we like to go that route. And New Jersey, state trooper in New Jersey has gotten, I don't know if we have any New Jersey people here, a new law that says you don't need to wait. And I'm paraphrasing here, please read the law, but it's essentially, it gives you a quicker tool to get into social media, phones, subpoenas, things like that, quicker. And a crime doesn't necessarily have to have been committed to get that information. So that's a great tool. You might look at your prosecutors to see if there's anything that you guys can do to get information quicker. Because again, time is of the essence. Do you think an Amber Alert would have helped Destiny? Yeah, probably. So another case, looking at that, and we just touched on this, and I'm not down on Amber Alert. Obviously, it's helped a ton of people and children get reunited with their families and found. Unfortunately, minority children, like I said, because they're labeled as runaways, don't usually get onto the Amber Alert. So something that we can look at. Another case, I'm sure you guys know this one, Gabby Petito. Daniel Robinson, they've been missing for a while at the same time, a couple years ago. Quick overview of what their cases what happened in their cases, and the thing I want you to take away from here is the time frame. One is the time frame. Look how quickly Gabby's case escalated, all over the news every day, parents being interviewed. Not so much on Daniel Robinson's side. In fact, they canceled the search because Daniel was considered an adult. So still missing. It's missing to this day. We still don't know what happened to him. Again, this goes back to some resources. You know, you got to pick and choose sometimes what cases you're going to take according to what resources you have and what the case has, right? He's an adult. He's missing. We're probably not going to go look for him because he can make his own decisions. But his everyday routine had been, you know, it changed. And that's one of the things we look for. You know, if someone's calling their parents every single day, or they're showing up at work every single day and they're 35 or whatever they are, they're an adult. And then all of a sudden their routine changes. Something's going on there, right? Gabby Petito, they look for immediately. We all know what happened with that. Unfortunately, both of Petito and her boyfriend Laundrie's remains were found. He murdered her. And the attention that was given to that case versus Daniel Robinson's, who's still missing. And yet they did all this, but they took him out. They canceled the search because he was an adult. And then if you look down at the bottom, and I still haven't gotten to the bottom of this, be curious if you guys know anything about this. The FBI was briefed on November 23rd. The locals were asking for help, right? And the very next day they declined to join the case. I have no idea why. If anybody knows, I'd love to know that reason. But you just see the differences in these two cases. There's also the impact of you guys on media. Do you guys have someone in the media that you can call to get your story out there? You should be able to pick up the phone and call at least one of your local media folks and say, hey, I need this story on TV. We can't find this person. We need your help, right? If you don't have those contacts now, make them. Definitely make them. Let's talk about flyers. One of the things we do at the Black and Missing Foundation is make a flyer. Our flyer is on the far right, and this is the same flyer we use every single time. Every case of ours gets a flyer. We take a picture from the family. We take a good picture. We make sure it looks nice and is reflective of what the person actually looks like. We give a little bit of information, and we tell people where they can call. Black and Missing Foundation also has a anonymous tip line. We get a ton of tips, and we always pass those on to law enforcement immediately when we get those. The middle is from a partnership of ours in Montgomery County, Maryland, who is a wonderful department to work with, and they do missing people right. You have a clear picture of the person who's missing, you've got information, and on the very top it says missing adult, so you know what the issue is. The far left could kind of use some work. What's the first thing you see there? Wanted. Well, if it's me, well, because I'm former law enforcement, yeah, I'm going to look at it. But most people are going to be like, wanted, well, he did something wrong, right? He's in trouble. I'm not going to look any further on this poster, and I'm certainly not going to look for him. And look at the picture. It's kind of like, I don't know. Other two folks are smiling and looking at the camera. I have no idea where this picture is taken. One of the things we like to do as well is get a picture, like I said, that's nice, and not use a booking photo. If that's the photo you have, ask the family for a photo. They typically have them. It's a better picture to use, and it doesn't have the connotation that perhaps this person is in trouble and not worthy of being looked for. Just something to think about. Again, we do our flyers for free. We give them to any law enforcement that needs them, wants them. We put them on our social media. We put them on our website, which is bamfi.org, and we give them to the families too. So we hope everybody spreads the word. If we need to contact media, we will. We have media connections all over the United States. And we work very closely with them to get these cases out there. And, you know, like Mike said in the beginning, this just isn't about Black and brown people going missing. This is about everybody going missing. I've highlighted some differences, but this could be used for everyone. Everyone could use a flyer. Everyone could use media attention, right? Okay, now here's the quiz. Luckily, you guys will probably just be able to do this on your own, but anybody know who any of these people are? They're all missing. I know I've got some Arizona police officers in here. I'm not sure if I have anybody from San Francisco or California. All these folks are missing. They should be household names, right? We should all know who these people are. There's Relisha Rudd. All these people. You know, I'm sure, you know, you've heard of the Gabby Petito story, right? And, you know, JonBenet Ramsey, things like that. Think about that. Think of the people that you do know that are missing that are all over the airwaves. And then when another story comes up, they kind of fall off. It happens to all of them. We just try to keep these out there in the forefront. Somebody knows something. Someone's going to find them. And obviously, race shouldn't be a barrier, but we're hearing that it is. So something that we can fix that. We can totally fix that. And just so you know, peeling back some of those layers, we talked about classifying a child as a runaway. Sometimes there's stereotyping and biases. Some folks think that, you know, they live a criminal lifestyle, and so whatever they got, they deserved. And I tell you this because I've heard it. And I take that personally because being law enforcement, although retired, that's not who we are. And it's a very, very small percentage that do that, but it is out there. There's lack of communication with the media. We as law enforcement don't go to the media because we want to keep everything inside and we want to work our own cases, but we do have to make partnerships with them and get this information out there. There's also a distrust with the community. You find this in the Indigenous community as well. They don't work well with law enforcement. They don't trust the community, the law enforcement community. Again, we can change that. We can be different than that. We can get their trust. And it's really hard to build that. It takes it every day. I get it. And I understand too that families sometimes are not forthcoming, or the community is not forthcoming to law enforcement, right? I mean, it kind of goes both ways. Oh, I didn't see anything. It's like, well, there's 200 people out here and nobody saw anything, right? That's tough. I get that. I get that. And that's one of the things we do. We work with the family members too. We manage their expectations, and we also give them a checklist of things they need to start doing. They need to be involved in this as well. It is a collaboration between everyone. And again, with the waiting period, there shouldn't be a waiting period for anybody. No one. Social media, digital milk carton. I don't know if you guys are old enough, you're probably not. I am, to remember when National Center for Missing and Exploited Kids would put missing children on milk cartons, again, to get it out there. Buy a carton of milk and you see the missing child, perhaps maybe you recognize that missing child. Luckily, we have moved on to social media and we don't have to rely on the milk carton, but a great start, right? This is one of our cases talking about the media, that someone was on a subway in New York City and they recognized Zanaya Amaya. And she was spotted on a subway in New York City, like I said, and she was missing from Maryland. And the poster that we put up, as you can see, was shared over 1,400 times on Facebook, which is incredible. And they were able to arrest the man that had taken her. And that was such a huge victory. But it was because of the social media and the fact that the person recognized Cornelia Smith and the girl. Another case, Kennedy High. She was also rescued. look at all these people. Facebook shared it, people liked it, people viewed it. She was found within a few hours. And that was a great case. I don't think we would have found her had we not used the advantage of social media. So, and we want you to help us find us. It's as simple as that. Some things you could do, we found may help. Establish universal policies and procedures for responding to missing persons cases. As I said in the beginning, every department has their own way of doing missing persons cases, and that's fine, but there should be some universal policy and procedures that every case everywhere gets. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, if I had another 100 police people or detectives or officers to help me, or the money or the resources, I get it. There's also a lot of lay people that you can hire. They're volunteers. Someone like me who's retired from law enforcement still has a lot to give, still has a lot of knowledge, can do that. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people out there interested, particularly retired law enforcement, that still want to be a part of helping. And they can do that. Just something to think about. Get rid of the runaway. Really get rid of the runaway. Come up with another way of doing it. Like I said, habitual, you don't want to say offender, but something that is not used to the detriment of your case. Because if it's a runaway and you've classified it as that, you guys know they're not going to get the same attention. So nobody should be a runaway, even if they left voluntarily. You guys know the dangers of social media and boys and girls getting on there and being lured away. I know you guys have worked the cases. I've worked those cases. That's not necessarily voluntarily leaving somewhere, right? They've been enticed. You get what I'm saying? 24-hour waiting period. You just can't have a waiting period. At the very least, a patrol officer needs to go out, take the report, and check the normal places the person might be, right? Partner with those community organizations. Partner with us. You guys can upload cases on our website, bamfi.org, and we'll take it from there. We'll call you. We'll ask you if there's anything we can do. We'll get you the flyer. We'll ask you if you're having issues with the family. Is there something that we can tell the family that will help them out? We're here to partner with you guys. Partner with those media organizations prior to somebody going missing. Just stop by. Say, hey, introduce yourself if you haven't already, and get those relationships going with the media. I mean, think about it. Someone that the media can call and say, hey, do you know anything about this case? I mean, they're going to think that they've got an edge over their other reporters, right? And it could be anything. Okay, that was really quick. Questions and answers. I have them and you've got them. So give them to me. Here's my information again. We are all over the place. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. YouTube, everywhere. We have obviously our website, and we also have HBO series, a 4-part series that came out 2 years ago that is an incredible in-depth look to of missing persons overall. And you get an introduction to Derica and Natalie, and then what it's like to deal in this realm from that aspect of it. Mike, I see you're on the screen. Questions, issues?
Yeah, I mean, just some thoughts and comments, and then obviously a question for you.
Mhm.
I love the idea about the idea of runaway, right? Kind of if we get rid of that term, missing person, somebody who's under 18. What, I think we started learning maybe 10 years ago. Well, it's a little bit longer now, maybe. It depends on how progressive your agency was.
Yeah.
Knowing that we started looking at these runaways who had gone 4, 5, 6 times. We used to call them habitual and almost forgot about them. Then we started realizing, no, they're probably being exploited
Right.
somehow, whether, right? So it's almost like the more they ran away, we in the old days, we were just like, this is just another day for her or him, mostly her though, in those situations.
Yeah.
And now it's, what are we doing? We need to find her. We need to get her to a child protective team or a child advocacy center. Let's see if we can intervene and figure out either she's running away from something, or he is running away from something, or they're running to something. So I think that's been a change. I mean, that's what do you think about? What are your thoughts there?
You hit the nail on the head. And in fact, Prince William County in Virginia, if they have a child leave their home or residence or what have you more than 4 times, they refer them to the social services that you're talking about. And again, that is more time, more effort. You got to have those resources available, and they're also volunteers. So they're, it's a way to help them out, but it is a problem. Also saw an incredible presentation at a DOJ conference, missing and unidentified people, out in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. 2 professors from Georgetown did a study of young girls and boys that leave foster care, and that is on the rise. And the interesting thing in that is they had nothing that was consistent. So they were going from foster care to foster care to foster, all these different people. They were separated from their family. They had nothing that was consistent, and no one in their life that was consistent. I mean, a police officer can be someone in someone's life who can be looked up to and is someone that's consistent and can help, and then also find consistent resources for those people. So you've got that aspect of it too. It's not just kids that are running from their actual home, but a completely different situation. And that's on the rise. That's on the rise.
Yeah, and I guess for everybody on this call, there's also, these conferences where you can go learn a lot, right? And
Yes.
maybe it's your turn to be that special person at your agency to kind of say, hey, we're not doing this right. It only takes one detective to kind of say, hey, Sarge, you mind if I do a little bit more over here?
Yeah.
And kind of become almost the expert for your area,
Yeah.
depending on the size of your agency.
And that's common, we find, in law enforcement. When they start thinking outside of the box, stuff starts getting done. And I know we're all stuck in the routine. Well, this is the way we've always done it. Why would we change?
Yeah, us old bosses, we just got to figure out to open up our eyes sometimes in our mind. This
Yeah.
is so, I will say this though, is that, going back years, I started in 97. So, even college students back then, we would give them like that 24, oh no, they're an adult. We don't normally take a report. Now that kind of ended after we had one kind of backfire on us, because that's what happens, right? They're probably not running away, right? They're not just saying, I want to start a new life. That
Yeah.
was our reason not to do stuff. But on the flip side, I love the idea of looking for a pattern, right? What you said, like this could be she or he could be, 35 years old, but if they call their mom or their dad or their whatever every single day, there's always a communication, or they go to work every day, they don't miss days of work. That's what you really need to focus on. Am I right?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's one of the things that's been really eye-opening to me is, you know, sometimes you come across people that they're like, well, I don't know, I haven't talked to my brother in 4 years. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit more difficult, right? But if that brother was talking to them every day, like you say, and we've even found it where these folks don't have a fixed address, which is really difficult, but they have a cell phone that their parents pay for, or their sister or their other brother pays for, and they call every single day. We had a guy that missed his birthday. Well, he never missed calling on his birthday because they'd send him money, they'd cash app him money, and we still haven't found him. But it's the routine that's
Yeah.
different. That is more so for adults, and I caution to say that because it does happen with kids. But mostly what we see with the children and the young adults and the teens is being lured away.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Is
and
being
I
lured away.
understand. I think you have to make a difference, right? And I don't know if that number is 18 or if it's 19 or if it's 20 or if it's 21. But at some point, we don't really treat a 35-year-old like a 19-year-old. I don't think we should.
Correct.
Um, I just think, but like I still think in Florida, that's where I'm from, and I just retired. You have to have a reason to document why you believe they're endangered to
Yeah.
get them into the Florida Criminal Information FCIC, which obviously then merges with NCIC at the
Right.
national level, right? But what I think you're doing here, and I hope I'm trying to transmit that as well, is that we're giving you those options now. We're saying, hey, listen, you can explain endangered as never hasn't missed a day of work in a year, whatever. Communicates all the time with their family. How
Yeah.
about this one? usually has their cell phone with Life's 360. I know where they're at all the time, but now their phone's off. Those
Right.
are all things we could potentially use. Now, listen, does that necessarily mean they did not just run away from their life and start a new life? No,
No.
but what we're saying is I think we've articulated enough to get them into the system.
Right, exactly. And it's just a matter of thinking about it a little bit differently, perhaps. If the family's telling you, you know, Susie left today and she didn't take her phone and she doesn't have any shoes on and her keys are here, and that's unusual for her. I mean, I don't know anybody that leaves their house without their phone, right? I mean, that's just
I turn my
ridiculous.
car around to go get my phone.
As do I, because I frequently forget it because I'm getting older. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the little things like that, and it's the particulars of each individual person. And again, like I've said the whole time, I get it. We frankly don't have the time to do this because we don't have the resources. So we have got to be extra inventive about that. Checklists help, a way of doing things help, teaching, right? Talking to your other folks, talking to the folks in the agency down the road, getting together. One agency is doing something, the other one isn't, and it's really working for this agency. We've got to talk to each other.
Yeah, let me give everybody else a hint too, is that if the press calls you 10 times and you tell them no comment on everything, and then on 11th time you call them and say, hey, we really need your help, they're probably not going to answer your phone call. All right.
Yeah.
So you need, on a slow news day, they might need some help. You need to give them something. And you might need to be the one to get in front of the camera because the PIO's off for whatever reason, right? But when that day comes and you need help, they are an absolute treasure of a resource of getting information out. And, I came from an agency where we had a Facebook following of like 250,000, but that's rare,
Yeah.
right? Your agency might have like 500, maybe 1,000, 2,000, depending on your size.
Yeah.
Those news organizations have a large Facebook following as well that you can start sharing and moving that information around. So, and it's free, guys. Use that stuff to your advantage.
It is 100% free. And if you don't have the time to do it, let us help you. Let somebody help you. I get it. You should be out looking for the person, not necessarily sitting at your desk doing that stuff. We can help you with that as well. But you brought up another good point. Is the social media. Not all agencies have a social media presence. They're smaller. I get it. Get an intern. Kids today know how to work this. They can make you a web page, get it out there. There's nothing more disheartening when I look up an agency and either the information is really old, like really old, or there's no social media presence at all, not even a web page. And I have found that. Again, this is thinking outside the box. Get an intern, get somebody to do it who's interested in law enforcement. This is another way that someone who's not credentialed could help you in doing that.
We got a great question, and I think me and you actually talked about this when we had
Okay.
lunch when I was visiting with you a couple months ago.
Mhm.
What about those times when there's intimate partner violence and a potential stalker is
Mhm.
asking you to find his significant other, the person that he's harassing, or the person he's got violence against, right, or looking to commit violence or to
100%.
control that individual, right? What are your thoughts on that?
So, we've had those instances. So when cases come into us, we vet them. And honestly, there's a gut feeling there. You guys are all investigators, you're trained police officers. Something is not making sense. Either the information they're giving you is either too much or too little, or their sense of urgency is not the same. They're trying to get information from you, right? And you're going to back up and you're going to take a step back. And what I did is I said, listen to what this guy's telling me. This is what I think. I think he's trying to find his ex-wife, right? We've called the parents of the ex-wife. She said, you hit the nail on the head. We've had these issues. So you just have to take it a step further. And again, get another set of eyes on it. Go to your partner, go to somebody. Look, something here is not right. And especially if they're not the ones that filed the report. If they filed the report, then the interview should be good. If you think there's something not right, have a buddy interview 'em. Maybe interviewing is not your thing. Have your friend interview them. I hope
I
that
think you,
helped.
I think you nailed it on the head. You know, if they want to report their wife, ex-wife, whatever, missing, right? Go to that person's family. And that's the easiest question. Hey, let me get in touch with their mom also, just to see what's going on.
Yep.
Oh, you know, they're 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 at odds. They don't get along. Okay, buddy. All
Yeah.
right. mean,
Yeah.
now that's like that's not just spidey sense. That's an actual articulable thing. Like, okay, maybe not mom. How about a brother or sister? She doesn't get along with any of her family. Now we know that's the isolation jumping in from a person who's trying to control the person and probably creating up a story. All
Well,
right,
and also
great question.
friends and work. Yeah, great question. You can talk to people maybe where they work or their friends or something.
Exactly. Right. That can help you kind of get a beat on whether what the intentions are of this individual before you go out and try to look for them and turn them over to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was a great question. Anybody else? We're at about 45 minutes, and that's kind of I like 45 minutes, but we're going to stay on for a little bit. But I think Beth, you didn't really talk much about yourself.
Oh.
Incredible amount of experience, has guarded presidents across the world. I don't know if that has anything to do with missing persons, but
Not
really
necessarily, but
storied
investigative.
career. 20 years, right? 20 years for Secret Service.
Yeah, a little over 20. And then I spent a little time at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Greensboro, North Carolina. I know we have some North Carolina folks on here. And I also worked at federal pretrial in Greensboro as well before I launched into the Secret Service. But yeah, a little over 20 years. It was a great experience. We're hiring, Secret Service is hiring, obviously, if you guys, are thinking about that.
What do you think about the Secret Service protection of a potential inmate? I know, bit too soon, too soon.
Too soon? Yeah,
Listen.
no, no, because the Secret Service has always been thinking about this since this whole thing started. How are we going to do this?
They've
And I
always
say,
had a plan for this, right?
exactly. We always have a plan, and believe me, I've been asked this before and interviewed about it before. We always have a plan. We
I
always
know.
have a plan, and we've been working on one for a very long time. We have never done it. Doesn't mean that we cannot or are not able to.
Right.
And let me just say, I realize I'm retired, and when I say we, it's just easier for me to talk
Yeah,
that
me
way.
too. But I said the same.
Yeah, we have a plan. We've been working on it for months.
Wow.
Just in case. Just in
Yeah.
case. Well, I mean, there's several cases where he could possibly go to prison. I mean, that's, we of course have no thought either way. We just have a plan for whatever
Right.
happens. And
And I
it'll
want to tell everybody, I don't know, most people, a lot of people know me, right? I'm not gonna say which side of this I'm on, but I just thought it was too good of a question to ask you while I had you here.
I
Not
was
just
expecting it. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Um,
All right, I don't see any other questions. Hey, listen, that's gonna end it. I'm gonna stop the recording. We'll stay on maybe for a couple more minutes in case somebody
sure.
wants an offline question. That'd be fine too. But I will email everybody. Listen, nobody's getting a certificate for this, by the way. So this is just something Advanced Police Concepts gives out kind of free. I try to find really interesting people, and Beth, you sure are one, to kind of give out some free information and a wonderful resource here, an option for folks. No certificate. Yeah. Okay. Free,
Come on,
free
Joseph.
information. Free information. Free.
Boo. Hey, Joseph, I'll challenge you there. And thank you for the compliment. Reach out to me, and I guarantee I'll be able to help you with something, and you can take that for your certificate.
Yeah, Scott, good question. Everybody who is either registered or attended today will get a copy of the recording to share with anybody else you want to. This is an open forum. I mean, hopefully you're not giving it to like a kidnapper 101 class, right? We're trying to give this to people who are actually trying to help, right? It doesn't matter if they're civilian or they're sworn, but yes, I will share the recording. It's going to be good for 30 days. So, and then I'll put it on my YouTube channel too. So actually you'll see it forever. It'll be there.
Awesome.
Rickford has a question. Is the assistance of Banffy open to all states?
Yes, absolutely. And even overseas. Absolutely.
Good.
Yep, we go everywhere. And like I said, if you go to our website, banfi.org, you can actually input a case. You have to have the basic information as you would for any case. And you can submit it, and you'll probably get a call from me, Derica, or Natalie, but it's usually me. And we'll chit chat about the case. I'll get you a flyer. And then maybe we can make some connections for you that you don't have in another spot. But yes, we are in all 50 states and sometimes overseas. Where are you going next, Mike?
I'm going to a country music concert this weekend,
Oh, well then.
and then after that, I'm going to Texas. Teach a
Okay.
class and outside of Houston.
Awesome.
That'll be next week. Yeah, I'm flying out Monday.
Okay.
How about you? Any big
Well,
summer
I'm
plans?
still in Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, no, Dad's doing great. But I think I'm going to go back to DC on Friday. We'll see. We got some things to set up, but then I'm going to Colorado to a dude ranch
Wow. Okay, you're gonna like ride horses and stuff?
all day.
Dang,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited.
that's a way to get out. You gonna leave your cell phone at home type stuff?
Probably not. Maybe back in the cabin, but
All right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's probably wouldn't. I don't think I would do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Brewster was on here.
Yeah, Kim was. Yeah. Gov.com. I got to get a gov.com job.
Uh Search tools. Yeah, there are classes with search tools. Gosh, who can I put you in touch with? Ivan, reach out to me. Let's talk offline.
Yeah, but I don't. There's some national search tools, right?
Hmm.
Some paid search tools,
Hmm.
you know. But a lot of the ones that she had were free. And what is name is National
Um,
Missing and Unidentified. I don't know what A stands for. National
uh,
Association. National
yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Missing and Unidentified of Missing and Unidentified.
Something. I mean, it's run by DOJ. It's
Yeah, well, it's a private, it's like a private partnership with Department of Justice
but
run
the
through.
public can go on it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Cops simply can get into the database, and they should be uploading all their missing persons and unidentified human remains onto NAMUS,
absolutely.
because NAMUS will help
Absolutely.
you connect them.
Thank you, Christine.
So the A is just assumed.
Her
An
name.
A.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Finder is good, Patrick. Not sure which PD you're at. Finder is good. There are a ton of other ones out there. Patrick, if you want to reach out to me offline too, I can get you in touch with Kevin over at the Nationals Force. God, what's it? Well, names escape me.
Well, Patrick's in Alabama, and Finder got the contract for the entire state of Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a statewide, and Finder has some international. I mean, not international. Like Florida's was the original where Finder started
Yes.
back in early 2000s. So they
Okay. And Kim,
but
thank
now
you.
they've
Child Protection
expanded to
Task Force.
different parts of this of the country. But there's a lot of localized regional databases as well.
Yeah. Kevin Branzetti. Yeah. Patrick, if you're getting that information from Kim Brewster, National Child Protection Task Force run by Kevin Branzetti, who I mentioned, his information is free as well. And he works very closely with law enforcement. In fact, that's all he works with. Reach out to him and you can give him his case and he will get his folks running on it.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for jumping on too. I don't know, Kim Brewster is, she's wonderful. And me and Beth both know her. Kim actually teaches human trafficking for me.
Yes.
But we also have a child exploitation class that's taught by a wonderful individual named Rebecca McKenzie. And just brought on another person with child abuse and ICAC field operations. So we're very committed to trying to help people get better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is such a great way to do it. You don't have to leave your office. There are no travel expenses. You hop online. If you need to get out of the office, obviously you can go in person. It's great.
All right,
There's
Beth,
so much. Go
I
ahead.
think we're going to call it. Thanks a lot. All right.
Okay, doke. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome. You did a great job.
Appreciate that very much. Thanks for the opportunity.